is Fatimah Halim. Some people say Fatima, and that's fine. I'm from New York City, from Harlem, was born and raised in Harlem. And I guess you can say that's where my life truly began. I've always wanted to be better. I've always wanted to just be better. I wanted to be a better singer, a better performer, a better daughter, a better sister, better friend. I always searched for better. And I grew up in a Catholic church, and that was an incredible experience because I used to love sitting in the church when there was no one there, which is when they used to leave the church doors open at that time. And now they're locked up. But nevertheless, it was the most wonderful experience. I would sit in the church when no one was there, and I would smell the fading aroma of frankincense, and I would look at the beautiful faces of the angels and Jesus and Mary, etc. I noticed that there were no angels or saints that looked like me, and I'm in Harlem, and this was a church where all black folks went, and I went to a Catholic school with all black kids and all white nuns, and I could, and that was all fine, but I felt a little, well, okay, well, where am I in this paradigm? Where am I? And I remember looking at a book, and I saw this picture of this beautiful, beautiful black man. He was a saint, Saint Martin de Porres. And he had a broom. I said, a broom? So you're telling me that when I go to heaven, I got to sweep? And so that's kind of when my search really, really, really began. Time went on, I got older, and I was able to do searching independently. And I found the Nation of Islam, and I loved it because it was about us. It was about black people. It was about us starting a nation, and it was about us loving ourselves and taking care of our communities, and I loved that. And then when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away, there was this schism. Do you become Orthodox, or do you stay with Farrakhan? Well, I dipped and dabbed in Orthodox Islam, but I still had my roots in the nation. And so that had me kind of going all kinds of ways, especially when I found out in Islam how they were very active in the slave trade. I'm like, oh, damn, here I go again. Fortunately, I didn't let any of that stop me. I just kept seeking. And then I found Buddhism, and that was very zen and very wonderful, except it doesn't really work in Harlem too much. You know what I'm saying? You can't be too zen. So I just kept going, but I still loved it. And I'm a sum total of all of those. And I found the African tradition. When I found the African tradition, the spiritual tradition, it really soothed my soul. And because it had the strength and the power and the empowerment, the self-empowerment that I needed. So that went on, and that's all of that. When you say from Catholicism to Islam to Buddhism to the African tradition is all a part of who I am. And so the search really, I'm not going to say I'm searching now because I'm not, because I don't have to anymore. And that feeling of I want to be better, I realize that I've always been better. Not better than anyone, but better. And the better comes in loving not only yourself, but loving all that the universe, all that God, all that whatever we want to call it, all that has been gifted to me. And I recognize its incredibleness. That to me is what makes me better. I'm not better than, I'm better because of my recognition of the gifts, and my hopefully and prayerfully using them in a way that makes the world a better place. I have a program for young women. Another thing, and coming from Harlem, I came from this incredible culture everywhere without even knowing it. I didn't even know I was poor because my mother and father made sure we had everything we needed, including Catholic school. Who could afford to send 5 kids to Catholic school? And we lived in the projects, like, oh my God, what's going on with that? But actually we lived in the tenements before. But the point is that I didn't know any of those things. And as a result, I think that that was good. So the point I was trying to go to was how I was able, when I moved to Phoenix, the culture that I left that was so part of my nature, so part of who I am. It was the lens that I saw the world through my culture, which was a beautiful thing. When I came here, it was barren. I came into a state or a city specifically where we were 3% of the population, right? As opposed to Harlem, where there we are. And so I knew in having my children, I had children by the time I moved here. I was pregnant with my youngest child, which was my fourth child. And I knew that it was important that my children had at least a glimpse of what I was able to have when I was growing up. And so I started a program for young women, a Rites of Passage program that was there to teach not only my children, but the children that they were associating with, because I figured in no sense of just teaching my kids, I had to teach the kids that they hanging with too. But teaching them and other young African-American kids about who they are and to empower them the way I was empowered through living via my culture, living through the lens of my culture. And so I started the program for young women, started one for boys, started one for Latinas, and gave it to the Latina community so that they could teach their own. So that was really a wonderful thing because I felt how important that is. And all of these things stood to teach me to be better, a better human, a better mother, a better friend, a better teacher. I associate now, I have a program where I partner with Arizona State University, and we go into the jails and we teach art programming to incarcerated women at Estrella Jail. That made me better because I would look at these women and I would think, there but by the grace of God walk I. And yeah, I mean, I could think of all kinds of things I've done throughout my life that could have wound me up there. I mean, just things that may seem simple. And I look back at it, I say, well, damn, I could have went to jail for craziness. Okay, most of us. So it made me better. It made me more understanding of people who got caught, got busted. Because I didn't. I was blessed. There was a bigger plan for me. And one of them, hopefully, was to go into the jails who's never been, but being able to come out at will. But to be able to listen to the stories of these women, to listen to these women who are me, to hear these mothers, hear these daughters, hear these grandmothers, and hear their stories. And it made me a better me. So Better has been following me around and embracing me in a way that's very loving and is very personal. I'm an artist, so I'm a storyteller. I do mosaics, glass mosaics, taught myself how to do it and don't sell them. I just do them for me and my children and my family, and my friends. And that makes me better because I don't have to chase the money. So it makes me a better artist because I can take my time. I don't have to worry about what color you want. So it's about, I guess you could say, my life has been for the search of better until I realized that I was, and then I realized that life is better because I've been gifted, and I can only pray that all that I have been given, that I'm giving back, because therein lies the secret to life. Whatever you're given, and we are given so much, it is our responsibility to give back. I don't know, better to me is godly. Yeah, I look at because Islam is my background as well as Catholicism. I look at the attributes of God. And I always say that if we begin to just take a look at those 99 attributes and try and live one a day or one a month or one a week or one a year, whatever, that will help to empower our soul. It just really will help with that. So I'm about the attributes. I think that that's so important to recognize them and to try and live them and honor them. So also the principles of Ma'at, and all of those things that really help us to navigate this world in a way where we are more at peace with ourselves and with others, regardless, understanding that everybody has a journey. Everyone has a journey. And everyone's journey is going to be different, which makes it all so wonderful. Because if it was all the same, my God, how boring would that be? So I think it's a wonderful thing that we honor each other's journey. And it may not be ours, and it may not be what we think it should be, whatever that is, because it always is what it should be. It's always what it should be. You can never leave your culture behind. Although you may leave a specific location, but you can never leave your culture behind because your culture is in you. It's what defines you. And we could take the ugliness out of any and everything, but why? Why when there's so much beauty? We have to reframe our thoughts, particularly when we've been hurt. We have to reframe our thoughts to extract the incredible beauty and the godliness out of everything that we have been exposed to, because we have been exposed to the ugliness and we have been exposed to the godliness. And it's up to us to decide which stories we will tell. Because we don't even have to tell the ugly stories because they're being told to us in leaps and bounds. So the stories that we who have to refrain for ourselves are those stories that brought us joy, that made us smile. Those times in our lives where we found peace and love. Those are the stories that's important for us to tell. Because we got the bullshit stories now. We got those. But why do I want to walk around telling those stories, when I got so many other good ones? Why do I want to talk about when my mother beat my butt? And she did. But when I was sitting down while my mother was playing the piano, and we would always sing as my mother sang, and we played the piano, she played, and we all sang. Those are stories I want to tell. I don't want to tell the story of my father being an alcoholic. I want to tell the story how my father was a merchant marine, and he worked for the railroad, and he traveled all around the world, and he would come home and tell us his stories. Isn't that a better story than I'm a child of an alcoholic? No, I'm a child of a traveling man, a man who's been around the world, who would come home and share his stories and love up on us. Those are the stories I want to tell, So we got the bad stories, but sometimes they become in the forefront of our lives. Those hard stories that hurt. We have so many other stories that we totally dismiss and forget about because those other stories, and they're probably 3%, maybe 5%, maybe 10, but you still got 90, of something good. Even if you had 50%, you still got 50% that's good. So you can choose which stories you want to live with and you want to see the world through. Which lens do you want to see the world through? That's as you get older, you do get a little smarter sometimes.